Chosen ones, listen closely, because what I'm about to share with you will not only surprise you, it will shake you to your very core. If you're here right now, it's no accident. The universe has guided you to this moment for a reason. A powerful shift is happening, and you are at the center of it all. Something monumental is unfolding in the life of someone you'd least expect, a high-level agent who has been conditioned to serve a system they believe is flawless. For years, this agent has lived in a world of certainty, trusting the orders they followed, the missions they completed, and the reality they were taught to accept. But you, chosen ones, have just shattered that reality. Without even realizing it, you've set in motion a series of events that have left this agent questioning everything they once knew. Yes, you heard that correctly. Your presence, your energy, your power has caused this agent to pause, to question, and to wonder if the world they've served is built on lies. They are no longer sure of the path they've walked, and the very foundation of their reality is crumbling. They are no longer just a tool in the system. They've seen through the veil, and now they want to meet you. They want to understand the truth because they know it's no coincidence that your power is making waves in their world. Chosen ones, your power is undeniable. You've awakened something within this agent that cannot be ignored. The way you see through the illusions of this world, the way you live and breathe truth, this is something they've never encountered before. Now it's time for you to step fully into your destiny. The very things you've prayed for, hoped for, are entering your reality at an incredible pace. This is no longer just a shift in mindset, it's a profound spiritual and energetic transformation. But for this transformation to continue, you must align with it, walk boldly into it, and allow the universe to carry you forward. Before we dive deeper into this life-changing message, take a moment, pause this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel to help us reach 50,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 77. This number isn't just a number, it's a powerful signal to the universe that amplifies the energy of everything happening right now. If you are truly a chosen one, you will feel the pull to watch this video all the way through. Your spirit already knows that this message is for you. You're here because the universe has brought you to this moment, and now it's time to step fully into your power. Are you ready to meet the agent who wants to understand your powers? The one who now questions everything they've ever known? The one who knows deep down that you have something extraordinary within you? Let's dive in. Your life will never be the same again. The agent had seen many things in their career, each more troubling than the last, but none had prepared them for the unsettling power of the chosen one. At first, the chosen one appeared to be just another voice in the endless sea of fringe theories, a seemingly harmless individual with strange ideas that made no sense. Yet the more the agent observed, the more they found themselves drawn into the enigma that was this mysterious figure. There was an undeniable energy about the chosen one, a magnetic presence that seemed to pull people towards them, even those who dismissed them as nothing more than a madman. What was most intriguing, however, was the way in which the chosen one subtly influenced those around them, planting seeds of doubt and curiosity. Each word spoken was a thread in a vast, intricate web of hidden knowledge and buried truths. And the agent, ever trained to see through deception, began to realize that there was something deeper at play, something more dangerous. The chosen one didn't just speak of secrets. They revealed them in a way that made the agent question not only their own beliefs, but the very system that had shaped their life. The more the agent learned about the chosen one, the more they understood that this individual wasn't just an ordinary person. They were, in a sense, an embodiment of something far greater, something not bound by the rules of society or even the established order of the world. Their influence was subtle, yet undeniable, and it soon became clear that they were challenging something far beyond the scope of conspiracy theories or fringe politics. The agent, once unwavering in their belief in the system they served, found themselves haunted by the questions that the chosen one's words stirred. It was as if their mind was being stretched to its breaking point, and the more they learned, the more they feared what they might uncover. What if everything they had been taught, everything they had believed, was a lie? For years, the agent had been part of an elite covert operation that pulled the strings behind the scenes of global politics, society, and even history itself. Nothing escaped their notice, and no secret was too well guarded. Their world was one of calculated moves and unspoken truths, a world where every action was carefully orchestrated and the decision was made with precision. In this carefully constructed world, the agent had always been in control until the day they met the chosen one. The encounter happened on a seemingly ordinary day when the agent was tasked with investigating yet another conspiracy. They were accustomed to brushing off such cases with disdain. After all, they had seen it all. But when they first laid eyes on the chosen one, something stirred within them. The individual in front of them was different. They were not frightened, nor did they seem to be trying to convince anyone of anything. There was no desperation in their eyes, no need for validation. They simply spoke of truths that shouldn't have been known to anyone outside the deepest circles of power. The agent tried to dismiss the encounter as a fluke, a moment of irrationality or coincidence. But as time passed, they found themselves returning to the words the chosen one had spoken. They were simple, yet they resonated with an unsettling depth. How could someone with no access to the secret networks of power speak so authoritatively about things only a select few should know? The agent began to realize that the chosen one wasn't just talking about shadows, they were uncovering them. This was not just a conspiracy theorist in a basement. This was someone who had access to something far greater than anyone could imagine. A force that seemed to operate outside the confines of the world the agent thought they knew. What was even more chilling was the realization that the chosen one wasn't trying to reveal all the secrets. They were simply showing the agent how little they truly understood. The foundation of everything the agent believed was beginning to crack, and they didn't know if they were ready for the truth. As the agent spent more time interacting with the chosen one, a subtle but undeniable shift began to occur. It wasn't just the information they were receiving, it was the way in which their entire worldview was being questioned. Everything the agent had believed about their purpose, the system they served, and the role they played in shaping global events started to feel wrong. There was an unshakable sense that the very fabric of reality was being torn apart, and the agent was at the center of it. For years, the agent had been programmed to believe in the mission, to trust the system, and to follow orders without question. Their life had been built on the idea that they were part of something greater, something that had the world's best interests at heart. But now every mission, every directive, every hidden agenda felt like a betrayal of everything they had ever stood for. The chosen one didn't even need to argue or offer counterpoints. They simply revealed the truth in a way that made the agent see it for themselves. One particular moment stood out in the agent's mind. The chosen one had spoken casually about an event that the agent knew to be highly classified, something that only a handful of individuals had ever known about. The details were shockingly accurate, and yet they were supposed to be locked away, buried deep within the system's vaults. The agent's instinct was to shut it down, deny it, ignore it. But a part of them couldn't. A seed of doubt had been planted, and now it was growing into something that could not be easily dismissed. The agent began to question their own role in the system. Were they simply a cog in a machine, serving a hidden agenda? Or was there something more they could do, something more they needed to do? The chosen one had shown them the cracks in their programming, and now the agent was left with a painful choice: continue living in ignorance or break free and seek the truth. As the agent delved deeper into the mysteries uncovered by the chosen one, their sense of reality began to disintegrate. It started with small inconsistencies, details that didn't add up, events that seemed staged or manipulated, people who were more than they appeared. But soon these small doubts grew into something far more significant. The very foundation of the agent's understanding of the world was crumbling, and they found themselves unable to trust even the most basic aspects of their existence. For the first time, the agent questioned everything they had once taken for granted. Was their life really their own? Were their choices truly their own? Or were they merely following a script written by unseen forces? The chosen one had presented the agent with evidence of a vast conspiracy, a hidden network of power players pulling the strings of society, manipulating events, and controlling information. The agent had seen the way the world worked from the inside, but now they were seeing it from a different perspective. The revelations were staggering. Governments were not as they appeared. Corporations weren't what they seemed. The very institutions the agent had sworn to protect were complicit in a web of control that stretched far beyond anything they had imagined. And what was more disturbing was the fact that the agent had been part of it. The realization hit them like a wave, and they were left gasping for air as they struggled to process the enormity of what they had learned. For years, the agent had been the protector of secrets, the keeper of the illusion of control. But now that illusion was shattered. There was no going back. The agent was no longer just a cog in the machine. They were awake. And as they looked around at the world they had known, they began to see it for what it truly was. A carefully crafted lie designed to keep them and everyone else trapped. For the agent, the transformation was slow, almost imperceptible at first. They had always dismissed the chosen one as nothing more than a person clinging to fringe beliefs, someone lost in the world of conspiracy theories. But now, as they began to sift through the fragmented pieces of information, the agent realized something extraordinary. The chosen one was not just spouting wild ideas. They were unveiling pieces of a puzzle that no one else could see. A puzzle that, when assembled, painted a chilling portrait of the world the agent thought they knew. The agent's initial skepticism quickly gave way to a growing sense of unease. The chosen one didn't just talk about the shadows lurking behind every corner. They spoke with an authority that could only come from someone who had seen things the agent couldn't even begin to comprehend. The more the agent listened, the more the lines between fact and fiction blurred. What if the chosen one was right? What if the conspiracy theories weren't just theories, but a reflection of a deeper truth? This shift in perception was unsettling. The agent had been trained to rely on facts, to dismiss anything that couldn't be quantified or proven. Yet with each passing conversation, the agent felt the walls of their understanding of reality erode. The chosen one's words weren't simply speculative. They were rooted in truth, a truth so deep and hidden that it threatened to unravel everything the agent had worked for. The agent now saw the chosen one not as a mere messenger of chaos, but as a catalyst for change, someone who was offering them a chance to see the world for what it truly was. It was clear now, the chosen one was more than a conspiracy theorist. They were a truth teller, someone who had peeled back the veil that covered the darkest corners of society. And, as much as it frightened the agent, there was a part of them that longed to embrace the knowledge the chosen one offered, a chance to shatter the illusions that had once held their world together. As the agent moved further down this dangerous path, they were faced with the full weight of the truth the chosen one had revealed. The truth wasn't just unsettling, it was dangerous. The web of deception that the agent had spent their life protecting wasn't just a collection of lies, it was a tool of control, a machine designed to keep the masses in check, to suppress the truth, and to keep powerful forces in power. The agent's entire existence, once built upon the belief that they were serving the greater good, now seemed like a betrayal. What made the truth even more terrifying was that it wasn't something the agent could simply ignore. The evidence was overwhelming, and the realization that they had been complicit in this system of control sent shockwaves through their core. The system that had governed their life, that they had served for so long, wasn't just flawed, it was fundamentally corrupt. And the chosen one, with their unyielding pursuit of truth, had exposed the very heart of that corruption. In the face of this dangerous truth, the agent was forced to confront their own choices. Every mission they had undertaken, every decision they had made in the name of the system, now seemed tainted by the very forces they had sworn to protect against. The agent had been a tool of oppression, a silent enforcer of a system built on lies. The chosen one, in their unwavering commitment to revealing the truth, had made the agent see the cost of their loyalty to a system that only sought to preserve its own power. The agent was now at a crossroads: continue serving the system and remain in the dark, or stand with the chosen one and risk everything. But no matter the path they chose, one thing was certain: the truth, once revealed, could never be unseen. The agent had always been confident in their convictions, never wavering in their loyalty to the mission and the system they served. But now, with the weight of the revelations hanging over them, doubt began to creep into their thoughts. What if everything they had believed was a lie? What if their life, their career, had been built on a foundation of falsehoods? The once unshakable confidence they had carried began to crack, and for the first time, the agent found themselves hesitating. The agent's mind was filled with turmoil. They were trained to be decisive, to act without hesitation. But now every decision felt fraught with uncertainty. Was it possible to trust the chosen one, to embrace the uncomfortable truth they had exposed? Or was the chosen one simply another piece of the puzzle, another layer of manipulation designed to lead the agent further down a dangerous path? The lines between friend and foe, truth and deception, had become impossible to distinguish. For the first time, the agent found themselves questioning their purpose. What was their role in the grand scheme of things? Were they a mere pawn, destined to serve the powers that controlled the world from the shadows? Or could they break free, step into the light, and become something more? The hesitation wasn't just about choosing sides. It was about confronting the very nature of their existence. Could the agent remain loyal to a system that had betrayed them? Or would they dare to embrace the unknown, no matter the cost? It's often said that one person can change the world, but for the agent, it seemed almost impossible that a single individual, one they had once dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, could shatter the very foundations of their existence. The chosen one was everything the agent had been trained to ignore: unpredictable, unpolished, and seemingly unimportant. Yet here they were, challenging everything the agent had once believed. The agent couldn't help but marvel at the strange, almost miraculous way the chosen one had entered their life. It had been a chance encounter at first, a moment that seemed insignificant. But now looking back, it was clear that this unlikely messenger had altered the course of their life in ways they could never have imagined. The chosen one wasn't a savior nor a hero. They were simply someone who had the courage to speak the truth, no matter the consequences. And in doing so, they had become the catalyst for the agent's awakening. The agent was left grappling with the question of how one person could have so much power. The chosen one didn't have an army, didn't have vast resources, didn't even have the support of the public. Yet their influence had reached the agent in a way that no government directive or secret mission ever had. The chosen one had exposed a truth that couldn't be ignored, and in doing so, had opened the agent's eyes to a world they had never even known existed. It was in that moment that the agent realized it wasn't about the size of the force or the resources at one's disposal. Sometimes a single person, with the courage to speak the truth, could change everything. As the agent delved deeper into the secrets uncovered by the chosen one, they stumbled upon something far more unsettling than they had ever imagined. This wasn't just about conspiracies or hidden networks of power. It was about something much darker, much more insidious. What the chosen one had revealed wasn't just a collection of shadowy figures manipulating world events. It was the very framework of reality itself, a web of control woven into every aspect of society, from politics to media to education. The discovery hit the agent like a thunderclap, shaking them to their core. The world they had known was nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion, a smokescreen designed to keep the masses docile and unaware of the truth. The agent had always believed that their work had been in service to a higher cause, to protect the innocent and uphold justice. But now they were forced to confront the horrifying reality that they had been serving a system that had systematically oppressed and controlled people for generations. Every law, every policy, every decision had been a piece of a larger puzzle, designed to maintain a stranglehold on the world's population. What was even more chilling was the realization that this network of control wasn't just a product of the government or any one organization. It was a global system, one that had been carefully cultivated for centuries. The chosen one had shown the agent how this web extended far beyond the walls of government offices and corporate boardrooms. It reached into the very fabric of society, subtly shaping every aspect of life, from the food people ate to the information they consumed. It was a system so pervasive that no one, not even the agent, had truly been aware of its scope. For the first time, the agent understood the enormity of what they were facing. The discovery was unthinkable, yet undeniable. The chosen one had opened the agent's eyes to a world they never thought possible. And now the agent was forced to decide whether to remain loyal to a system that had deceived them or to risk everything and fight for a truth that could destroy the very foundation of society. As the agent continued to uncover the layers of deception, they realized that the truth about the world went far beyond the surface-level conspiracies they had once dismissed. Beneath the well-manicured facades of governments and corporations lay a hidden network, one that connected the most powerful figures on the planet and dictated the course of history. It wasn't just a few corrupt politicians or greedy CEOs pulling the strings. It was a vast, shadowy network that spanned continents and had infiltrated every aspect of society. The agent's mind raced as they began to understand the scale of the hidden forces at play. This network operated in the shadows, silently shaping world events and determining the fate of nations without ever appearing in the public eye. It was a world of power brokers, intelligence agencies, think tanks, and clandestine organizations that worked behind closed doors to ensure that the status quo remained intact. And the most disturbing part was that for years, the agent had been part of this very network, unwittingly contributing to the system that kept the world in a state of perpetual control. What made this network even more insidious was its ability to manipulate not only the political and economic systems, but the very minds of the people through media, entertainment, and education. This hidden network had cultivated a culture of ignorance and conformity. People were fed a steady diet of false information, never suspecting that the reality they were living in was nothing more than an illusion designed to keep them in line. The agent had always believed they were part of a system that upheld justice, but now they were faced with the terrifying reality that they had been working for the very force that sought to control and manipulate the masses. The agent's entire existence, once defined by duty and loyalty, had been a lie. And as the agent's eyes were opened to the truth, they realized just how deep the rabbit hole went. The more the agent uncovered, the clearer it became that the hidden network they had stumbled upon was not just a series of corrupt individuals or shadowy organizations. It was a full-fledged system, a cult-like structure that had indoctrinated generations of people into believing in its false narrative. This was no ordinary conspiracy. It was a belief system that permeated every corner of the world, from the highest levels of government to the everyday lives of citizens. At its core, this system wasn't just about controlling resources or shaping political outcomes. It was about creating a worldview, a framework for understanding reality itself. Those at the top of this system had carefully constructed a narrative that had been fed to the public for centuries, a story that painted the world as a place of order, progress, and security, all while hiding the truth beneath layers of manipulation and deception. The agent had been part of this cult-like system, unknowingly perpetuating its lies, upholding its narrative, and believing in its righteousness. What was even more disturbing was the realization that the system had been designed to be self-sustaining. It wasn't just about maintaining power, it was about shaping the very way people thought about creating a society where questioning the status quo was not only discouraged, but punished. The system had built a reality where people accepted their roles without ever realizing they were trapped in a cage of their own making. The agent had once believed in the nobility of the system they served, but now they were faced with the truth. The system was a prison, and they had been an unwitting jailer. The chosen one had helped them see the shadows behind the curtains, but now the agent had to face the grim reality of what that meant for their future. The agent's internal struggle reached a breaking point. Everything they had once believed in, every principle, every value, every cause they had dedicated their life to, was now in question. How could they continue to serve a system that had deceived them so thoroughly? How could they keep their faith in an organization that had systematically destroyed the lives of so many, all for the sake of maintaining control? The agent felt a deep sense of betrayal, not just by the system they had pledged to protect, but by themselves. The crisis of faith was all-consuming. The agent couldn't reconcile the person they had once been with the person they were becoming. They had once viewed themselves as a guardian of justice, someone who upheld the law and protected the innocent. But now they saw themselves as a cog in a machine of oppression, a pawn in a game played by forces far more powerful than they had ever imagined. The guilt was overwhelming, and for the first time in their life, the agent didn't know who they were anymore. The chosen one's revelations had shattered everything, but the agent was still struggling to make sense of it all. How could they have been so blind? How could they have spent their entire life serving a system that was built on lies and manipulation? The agents' faith in their mission had been the one constant in their life, but now that foundation was crumbling. They were left standing at the edge of an abyss, unsure of where to go or what to believe. But in the midst of this crisis, the agent knew one thing for certain: they could no longer live in denial. The truth was out there, and it was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The question now was whether they had the courage to confront it. As the agent began to grapple with the truth, the forces that had kept society under control began to take notice. The system, always one step ahead, attempted to silence the chosen one before their revelations could spread further. Agents, operatives, and even high-level officials were mobilized to neutralize the growing threat. The chosen one's voice was seen as an existential risk, one that could unravel the delicate balance of power that had been carefully cultivated for centuries. But what the system failed to account for was the power of the chosen one. Despite their apparent isolation and lack of resources, the chosen one proved to be a formidable force. They were not simply a person to be silenced, they were a symbol of something far larger. The more the system attempted to crush them, the more resilient the chosen one became. Each attempt at suppression only seemed to fuel their cause, gathering more followers, more supporters, and more people willing to listen. The agent was astonished by the chosen one's power. It wasn't a conventional strength. The chosen one didn't command an army or possess vast wealth, but their ability to connect with others on a deep, almost spiritual level was undeniable. There was an aura of truth around them, one that couldn't be easily ignored or dismissed. The more the agent witnessed the chosen one's influence, the more they realized that the system could never truly silence someone who had access to the truth. Truth, after all, had a way of slipping through cracks and finding its way to the surface. What struck the agent most was the unwavering calm the chosen one exuded in the face of danger. While the world around them tried to tear them down, the chosen one stood resolute, a living embodiment of the power of knowledge and truth. The agent now found themselves drawn to that power, feeling a mixture of awe, fear, and respect. What had once seemed like an impossible threat now felt like an undeniable force of nature, and the agent knew they were caught in its current. For years, the agent had believed that the world they navigated was a carefully constructed system of order and control. Governments, corporations, intelligence agencies, they were the pillars of society, maintaining stability and security for all. The agent had worked in this world, executing their missions with pride, confident that they were part of something greater. But now everything they had once taken for granted was in jeopardy. The chosen one had shown them that the world they thought they knew was, in fact, an illusion, a meticulously crafted illusion designed to keep people in line, to prevent them from questioning the system that held them captive. Every law, every regulation, every institution was a tool of control designed to maintain power in the hands of a select few. The illusion of control was the greatest lie of all, and it was one that the agent had unknowingly perpetuated. What was most terrifying wasn't just the realization that the system was a lie. It was the fact that the agent had been complicit in maintaining that illusion. They had upheld the structures that kept people docile, never questioning the narrative they were taught. But now, with the veil pulled back, the agent saw the truth. They were not part of a system designed to protect and serve. They were part of a system designed to control, to manipulate, and to maintain power for those at the top. The agent was left standing at the ruins of their former beliefs, watching as the illusion of control shattered around them. It was a moment of clarity, one that left them both free and vulnerable. They were no longer a pawn in the game. They were awake to the truth, and that truth was both liberating and terrifying. The world they had once served was now exposed for what it truly was: a carefully constructed prison, one that had kept the agent and everyone else trapped. The agent, now fully aware of the depth of the deception and manipulation that had defined their life, made a decision that would change everything they had to meet the chosen one in person. The allure of the truth was undeniable, and the agent knew that this was the only way forward. The journey to find the chosen one wasn't just about uncovering more secrets. It was about confronting the very nature of reality itself and the role the agent was meant to play in it. The path to the chosen one was not an easy one. Every step taken felt like a plunge deeper into the unknown. The agent was no longer part of the system they had once served. There was no turning back. As they made their way to the chosen one's location, they were overwhelmed by a mixture of awe, fear, and uncertainty. What would this meeting reveal? Would the chosen one's truth be even more profound than the agent could imagine? Or would it be too much to bear? When the agent finally met the chosen one, it was a moment unlike any other. There was no fanfare, no dramatic confrontation, just two individuals standing across from each other, both holding the weight of the world in their hearts. The chosen one, as always, was calm and composed, their eyes filled with an understanding that the agent could never fully grasp. In that moment, the agent realized that this wasn't just a meeting of two people. It was the collision of two worlds, the world of control, of order, of power, and the world of truth, of awakening, and of liberation. The agent no longer saw the chosen one as a mere figure in a conspiracy. They saw them as a force capable of shaking the very foundation of reality itself. And in that moment, the agent understood the true power of the chosen one. It wasn't their knowledge or their ability to reveal secrets. It was their unwavering commitment to truth, to breaking free from the chains of manipulation and control. And in that moment, the agent knew that they were no longer alone. They were no longer part of the system. They were part of something far greater, something that would change the world forever. The agent's transformation was nothing short of profound. What had begun as a simple questioning of their world quickly escalated into a full-blown awakening. The more the agent uncovered, the more the realization settled in. They were no longer just a cog in the machine. They were becoming something else, something far more dangerous to the forces that controlled everything. The shift from a loyal agent to a rebel was not a simple one. It involved shedding years of indoctrination, discarding the chains of a system they had once believed in. But with every revelation, every truth laid bare, the agent felt their former identity slip away. At first, the transition was filled with doubt. Could they really abandon everything they had built their life around? Their career, their reputation, the respect of their peers? All of it was built on a lie. But as the weight of the truth settled deeper into their bones, the decision became clearer. It wasn't about maintaining a full sense of loyalty or clinging to a crumbling system. It was about fighting for something more authentic, something that could free not only themselves but the countless others living under the illusion of control. The agent's awakening was a powerful internal struggle. There was a war raging in their mind, a battle between their old life and the new path that was beginning to take shape. They had been trained to suppress their emotions, to follow orders without question, but now those very traits felt like shackles. The more they considered the vast conspiracy they had been a part of, the more the agent felt an overwhelming sense of guilt. How could they have been so blind? But within that guilt was the seed of their revolution, a desire to rewrite their own narrative and help others see the truth. By embracing their newfound awareness, the agent began to understand that their awakening wasn't just a personal journey, it was a call to action. They couldn't walk this path alone. If the chosen one was a harbinger of change, then the agent could be the catalyst. With every step, the agent shed their former identity and embraced the role of a rebel, prepared to tear down the very walls of deception they had helped build. It was time to break free and find a way to bring down the system from within. The chosen one's influence wasn't merely a matter of words. It was something more profound, a subtle force that shaped the agent's worldview. At first, the agent dismissed the chosen one as a mere eccentric, someone whose ideas were too radical to be taken seriously. But as the truth behind those words became undeniable, the agent realized that they had underestimated the chosen one's power. What made the chosen one so dangerous wasn't just their knowledge. It was the quiet confidence with which they spoke. Their words resonated deeply, stirring something in the agent that had been dormant for far too long. Through their interactions, the chosen one unknowingly became the agent's mentor. They didn't lead with force or aggression. Instead, they guided the agent through quiet moments of reflection, helping them piece together the shattered fragments of their reality. The chosen one never demanded loyalty or submission. They simply presented the truth, leaving it for the agent to accept or reject. And as the agent's mind began to absorb these truths, they found themselves changing in ways they couldn't explain. Their perspective expanded, and with each revelation, they felt more disillusioned with the life they had lived. What the agent didn't realize was that the chosen one's influence was working on a deeper level. It wasn't just about the information. It was about the chosen one's ability to awaken the dormant parts of the agent's consciousness. They weren't simply teaching the agent new facts. They were helping the agent rediscover their humanity. They were pushing the agent to think beyond their programming, to challenge the very core of who they were. With every conversation, every exchange, the agent felt themselves breaking free from the confines of their former identity. The impact of the chosen one was immeasurable. In the end, the agent didn't just learn from them. They became something more, something different. The chosen one had ignited a fire within the agent, a fire that could not be extinguished. And as the agent continued to walk down this new path, they understood that their fate was forever intertwined with the chosen ones. Together, they would challenge the forces that sought to keep the world in darkness. Some truths are so dangerous that they can unravel entire worlds, and the agent quickly learned that the information they were uncovering came with a heavy price. The deeper they dug into the conspiracy, the more they realized just how far-reaching and perilous the system was. This wasn't just about hidden agendas or shadowy figures. It was about an infrastructure so deeply embedded in society that exposing it could lead to unimaginable consequences. The truths they were uncovering were too powerful, too disruptive for anyone to ignore. And now the agent was at the epicenter of a storm that threatened to consume everything. The more the agent learned, the more they came to understand that certain knowledge was not meant to be revealed. There were secrets hidden so deep within the system that even speaking them out loud could trigger catastrophic events. Governments had built their power on these secrets. Corporations had built fortunes on them. And entire industries had thrived off of keeping the public in the dark. And now the agent was poised to unravel it all. But at what cost? They were no longer just a participant in the system. They had become an enemy to it, a threat that could expose the delicate balance of control the powers that be had worked so hard to maintain. The danger wasn't just in the information itself, it was in the people who would stop at nothing to keep it hidden. The agents who once worked beside the agent were now part of a vast network of enforcers, shadowy figures tasked with silencing anyone who dared to uncover the truth. The agent had crossed a line, and there was no going back. To expose the secrets would mean betraying everything they once held dear and possibly risking their life in the process. But the agent was no longer afraid. They understood that some truths were worth dying for. And so the agent continued down this perilous path, aware of the danger that lay ahead. Each new revelation was a step closer to exposing the truth, but each step also brought them closer to the forces that would stop at nothing to prevent that truth from seeing the light of day. The agent could feel the weight of the knowledge pressing down on them, but they also understood something else. By uncovering these dangerous truths, they were forging a new path, one that could change the world forever. For the agent, there was no easy escape. The system they had served their entire life wasn't just a job, it was their identity. From the moment they had signed up, they had been indoctrinated into a world where loyalty, discipline, and duty were paramount. Leaving that life behind meant more than simply resigning from a job. It meant rejecting everything they had ever known. It meant walking away from their comrades, from the structure that had given their life meaning. But as the walls of the system began to crumble around them, the agent realized that staying was no longer an option. The escape wasn't immediate or dramatic. It wasn't about running from danger. It was about mentally and emotionally freeing themselves from the chains that had bound them for so long. The agent had spent years in the trenches, following orders without question, believing that they were serving the greater good. But now, the greater good seemed like a distant memory, a lie that had been carefully crafted to keep them in line. The agent's escape was a journey of self-liberation, one that required them to confront the deepest parts of their own soul. Could they truly abandon everything they had believed in? Could they walk away from their mission, from the system that had given them purpose? What made the escape so difficult wasn't just the threat of retribution. It was the uncertainty of what lay on the other side. The world beyond the system was unfamiliar, dangerous, and chaotic. The agent didn't know where to go or who to trust. All they knew was that staying in the system meant remaining complicit in a global lie. So the agent chose to break free, even if it meant facing an uncertain future. And as they stepped into the unknown, the agent realized that the escape wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Their mission had changed. They weren't simply a tool of the system anymore. They were free, and that freedom brought with it the possibility of something greater, the chance to rebuild, to fight for the truth, and to help others awaken to the reality that had been hidden from them for so long. As the agent's resolve to break free from the system grew stronger, the powers that controlled the world began to take drastic action. The agent had become too much of a threat, a loose end that needed to be tied up before their actions could incite a larger rebellion. The network that had once relied on the agent now sought to eliminate them, deploying its most skilled operatives to stop the truth from being exposed. This was no longer just about keeping secrets. It was about preserving control at any cost. The agent, however, wasn't naive. They knew the risks. They understood that the closer they came to the heart of the conspiracy, the more dangerous it became. The system had eyes everywhere, and it would stop at nothing to neutralize anyone who posed a threat. But the agent was ready. They had spent years learning the ins and outs of the system, understanding how it worked and how to outsmart it. This was a battle they had prepared for, even if they hadn't realized it at the time. The attempt to silence the agent came swiftly and without warning. A series of covert operations were launched, each one designed to weaken the agent's position and eliminate their allies. The system used everything at its disposal: misinformation, threats, and manipulation. But despite the weight of the network's might, the agent didn't back down. They had already seen too much to turn back now. Each failed attempt to stop them only fueled their determination. In the end, the network's efforts only proved one thing: the agent was no longer under its control. They had become a force to be reckoned with, someone who could no longer be silenced. The battle between the agent and the system was far from over, but with every move the network made to stop them, the agent grew stronger. The truth, once buried, was now rising to the surface, and nothing could hold it back. As the agent's quest for truth progressed, the system's response grew more aggressive. What began as covert warnings and subtle threats quickly escalated into full-fledged attempts to neutralize them. The system wasn't content with merely controlling information anymore. It saw the agent as an existential threat, someone capable of unraveling the very fabric of society. Now the agent faced a new enemy, the full force of the system operating with its ruthless efficiency. The system's response was multifaceted. Agents were dispatched to monitor the agent's every move, infiltrating their circle of allies and gathering information to anticipate their next steps. They used everything at their disposal: surveillance, manipulation, and even covert assassination attempts. The agent found themselves trapped in a game of cat and mouse, constantly on the move, never sure who to trust. The system's power seemed limitless, and the stakes had never been higher. Despite these relentless efforts, the agent remained resolute. The more the system tried to tighten its grip, the more the agent saw through its strategies. They had become adept at countering the system's moves, always staying one step ahead. But each victory felt bittersweet. The enemy they faced was not simply a collection of individuals. It was a monstrous, unfeeling entity, an embodiment of everything the agent had once worked for. And the truth was, even if the agent continued to outsmart the system, they knew it wouldn't stop until it had eradicated every last vestige of opposition. The greatest challenge, however, was not simply surviving the system's assault. It was maintaining the strength to keep pushing forward. Each attack was an emotional toll, a constant reminder of how much was at stake. But through it all, the agent found new sources of strength.